Hello, good evening and welcome to Gersnet. It is Sunday the 14th of August. My name's Scott Patterson. You're very welcome. It's episode 190 of the podcast by fans for fans. Thank you for taking time out on your Sunday evening to join us. Lots to discuss. Busy weekend, busier week ahead of us. Before we get into it and introduce tonight's guests, I'd like to say a big thanks to one of many partners that we have for this season. We should say hello to Football Prizes. At the moment, you can win a signed and framed Borna Barisic top. Not very often you get these things signed and framed. Signed, absolutely. Framed as well. Goodness me. Fantastic prize. You visit our websites, all the W's, footballprizes.co.uk/product/Barisic. Jump on, have a look. Well worth a wee peek. So on the pod this week, we've got a debutant, which we look forward to welcoming, and we have one of our seasoned professionals, air commas, and we say hi and welcome back to Alex Anderson. Hello, Alec. How are you, mate?
No bad, Scotty, no bad. Quite a euphemistic introduction there. Was the inverted commas run about the seasons as an old fat guy, or was it the professional? Was it?
No, I don't want to answer that.
Aye. Take the fifth, mate. Take the fifth. No, good to see you. Sorry, how do you surviving this heat a bit better than me, a skinny guy?
Yes, just about, I think, actually. I'll tell you, I had a great day today. The weather where I was today was absolutely fantastic. I feel a wee bit burnt. I don't know if I look a little bit burnt, but I certainly feel it. My goodness. How are you, my friend? Okay, you well?
I'm not bad, sir. I'm not bad. I'm hating the heat. I'm not so much burnt. It's just my brain's boiling. I thought losing the hair, losing the ginger hair as I got older, and that would actually help me cope with the heat. But I cannot handle it at all. So I've been hiding in the shade like a total weirdo. Thank God I'm in the main stand, or else I wouldn't have been at yesterday's game. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, we'll come to that. Absolutely. Listen, we should say, and it's a warm welcome. A new person to the stable is Brian Archer. Hi, Brian. How are you, mate?
I'm not too bad, thanks, Scott. Glad to be on. Looking forward to my first podcast.
Good man. As always, you're very welcome. You know the drill. You know how we'll get into it. So by all means, we look forward to hearing what you've got to say on the podcast tonight. We're going to talk about the game yesterday at Ibrox, which was, listen, I felt it was a bit a game of two halves, to be honest with you, and we'll get into that as the pod goes on. Water breaks Ibrox, my goodness, never seen, never heard of it. Although, Ek, you may know of a previous time when that's happened, so we'll come to that. Big game at Ibrox on Tuesday night, of course, which you really look forward to. I think it's something that the fans are really, really, really excited about. So we'll do a little bit about that. We'll do a little bit about what happened in October 1999 at Ibrox as well, which was a super exciting night and a very highly charged, memorable European night at Ibrox. And we'll do a little bit on the signings thus far that have came in, how they've hit the ground running, and maybe where there could be room for improvement. Ek, I'll start with you. Lovely day to go to the football yesterday in the first instance, was it not?
No, it was absolutely brutal. I think anybody who enjoys this kind of weather just isn't right in the heat. I see folk out jogging and all this kind of. I mean, people go jogging in this kind of. I'm just thinking you're going to kill yourself. Why are you doing that? No, I mean, I have to be honest. I know being over 20 stone doesn't help. You know what I mean? But no, even as a skinny youth with lots of hair, I could not handle the heat. Us gingers, or ex-gingers in my case, you know, fellow ex-gingers will know what I'm talking about. And as I say, no joking, if I had been in the front of the Govan or front of the Copeland, my season ticket, I wouldn't have been going yesterday.
Yeah.
It was by the time I got to my seat in the main stand, I was disgustingly dripping sweat all over the place. You know, I had to stand out in the stairwell for about 5 minutes. So I was like in there saying hello to everybody, like totally manky looking. I was like, get him out in here. No, it was. Listen, the start to the game, I was just that kind of rhythmic. The Union Bells, you know, they've got to dress in black. God knows how they were handling it. You know,
goodness me.
Good on them. But it was that kind of thing where we had the ball for basically half an hour, unrelenting, and a kind of rhythmic banging of the drums, the Karma Chameleon. Even though I was in the shade in the main stand, my brain was kind of melting with the heat, and I was just starting to looking at their strip, St Johnstone strip, and just thinking, that's like Olympiacos, you know, they're the one one of the Greek big three that we haven't played in Europe, and it's a bit like Atletico Madrid as well. I hate it when Atletico Madrid wear the red shorts, but the best Atletico Madrid performance I ever saw in Europe away to Chelsea in that semi-final of the Champions League, we were wearing the red shorts. So it's not that. But there's no Scottish team that plays in red and white stripes in the Champ League. There's still no Scottish team. I thought, this must be getting to me, this game. This game must be. I was not thinking about it in any way whatsoever. And the camera coming ball on the bar. I was starting to fuss it. And then Goldson hit the byline and pulled one back. And I thought he did that in the first half against Livingston. And it's a sign that things aren't going. We've got the balance at play. We're dominating possession. Things aren't going exactly our way. But big Connor Golson's taking a hand in things. We're going to step up a wee gear. And then we got the water break, and we had the kind of, obviously the Masonic water, the caffeine was getting into the bloodstream. And things just changed after that. And Tillman, who'd been kind of leading the way, John Lundstrom was kind of dominating the kind of rhythm of the game. Tavernier's the kind of heartbeat of the whole team. He was keeping us in check. But I think it was lovely when we actually got the goal, because you're always fearing it's going to be one of these things where, as we've been saying the last two league games as well, we're going to have a lot of possession, but we're not getting the penetration we want. But it's coming easier with every league game as these players gel together. And I think yesterday you can see, I think it's a really underrated role played by Stephen Davis last Saturday, the home game against Kilmarnock. He's a kind of genial host and helping, just taking that ball and spreading it about with that bit of incision and helping to get wee 1-2s, going to be interactions going with the new players. All new players playing together, and also getting those new players playing with the existing, with Lundstrom and Davis himself and all that, and helping the team gel together. And I think you could see that yesterday. It was just a matter of time. And luckily it came just before I passed it.
Brian, before Tillman sort of leaped, as seems to be the new sort of standard thing he does, he just leaps. Lundstrom really stung the palms of the St Johnstone keeper with a really good effort. I felt the keeper maybe done something for sports scene a little bit on it, to be perfectly honest with you. However, we are seeing sort of John Lundstrom at his brilliant best again. I think he started the season like a train, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's a real Rolls Royce in a midfielder, but I think we can see that he's kind of different class from what we usually get up here. He really commands the centre of that park, and when he's on that kind of form, there's not many midfielders in Scotland that'll be able to get near him. Yeah,
Eki was really good yesterday, I felt, wasn't he?
I think it's amazing watching Lundstrom. Brian's absolutely right. He's kind of Rolls Royce stuff. It's amazing looking at him thinking it was less than a year ago that we were having serious doubts about the guy. In fact, it was this round coming up on Tuesday, although albeit in the Europa League, that he got himself sent off against Alec and really put us in the bin. We thought, after having been culpable for a goal we lost at Dundee United for our first defeat in over a year, and giving away seeming to be kind of no picking up his man properly in Malmo when we had a nightmare over there that led to us getting put at the Champions League in the early stage last year. And there he is yesterday. You're just kind of taking it for granted. It was one of the things I noticed yesterday. He's taking the ball in front of his defence. He's defending most things in a game like this before it gets through to Goldson. And it's good for a guy like yesterday, like Ben Davis making his debut. It's good to help bed him in without too much pressure. He's coming back from injury and settling into a new club. When you've got somebody like Lundstrom who's taking care of all the major stuff in front of him, and is then he does the thing where he switches play left to right, right to left, and from deep to front. But he also does that thing where he was taking the ball far forward. He's kind of sitting just in front of defence, ostensibly he's kind of starting position with Ryan Jack just in front of him. And I think the only thing with John Lundstrom is he's not going to get as many assists as you'd expect.
No.
Which means he's probably not going to get the credit. He'll probably score more goals this season than he actually gets assists, because he has a slight blunt edge when it comes to that wee bit running about the box. But that's not his job. He's getting it. He played in Matondo Rabi yesterday for the chance he pinged off the bar. But generally he's laying it off to like a Jack, or it would have been a Rebo, but now it's hopefully Tillman, Lawrence, whoever to give us that wee kind of bit of penetration, that kind of scalpel type pass. But he dominates the rhythm. Scott, he really does. He's carrying the whole pace of the team, if you like, and he sets the tempo, and he knows he really knows what it's all about, and he's blossomed into an absolutely cracking player, a total mainstay.
Eck, I'll stay with you because one thing, he's been voted as our sort of man of the match for the game yesterday, which I think is quite fair. There's an element of quality shithousery about him in the middle of the park, which I think is really important. I think it's important that we've got a guy in there who is, he's quite happy to be a bit of a shite. Do you know what I mean? He's not bothered if people like him. He knows what his job is. He's there to do it. If people sort of like him or not, he's not really bothered his arse. He knows what his job is. And if people don't like it, tough titty.
I worry, Scott, for younger Rangers fans. It was a massive culture shock for guys of my age, maybe your own age. You obviously 10, 15 years younger than myself, but you're only early 60s. But for us to watch Rangers players in this whole the period immediately after 2012, after the financial problems, to watch Rangers players getting bossed about the park by no marks.
Absolutely.
Ian Black's an all-time low for me. Only Rangers player probably I think I've ever actively disliked. I always, the minute he pulled on that jersey, I'm going to be, my base reaction is always going to be sympathy and hope you do better and try and find the good in any player the minute he pulls on that blue jersey. Whereas with Ian Black, I think because he represented how low we'd sunk, all mouth and nothing to follow up. And to see somebody like Lundstrom coming in, I think it started with Scotty Arfield, back in 2018, like Hugman 2018, when he had that 50-50 with the drop ball with Scott Brown.
Absolutely.
That's what we've been looking for years. Like Scott Brown, these guys aren't the hard cases. They're just pains in the neck.
Wind up absence.
Like a Stuart McCall and all that we grew up with, would have played keep up with that guy without even thinking about it.
Aye.
So to see somebody like Lundstrom back in the team who just doesn't take any nonsense and knows how to dish it, knows how to live with it, that kind of pettiness as well. You need that. You need a bit of a bastard, in your team, and he's got that. But I think Tav basically sets that Tav is the heartbeat of this team. But I think and Goldson is just a total mainstay. He's the kind of brick wall at the back. But I think Lundstrom is pretty much becoming the pulse. He's getting us going all the time.
Brian, Tillman's had a fantastic week. Obviously scores that header, that high header on Tuesday. I think every time you look at it, it looks like he's jumping higher, to be perfectly frank with you. But the goal that he scored yesterday, a really good header. Again, sort of very narrow angle. Manages to loop over the goalkeeper, who's sort of made the angle difficult for him. He's a real find, and I think that if there's an opportunity to bring him in for X amount of million, and I've heard various sort of figures quoted north of 5. If there's a deal that's worth doing there, it's probably something worth looking into right now, don't you? He's been impressive so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can see his quality. He's really good at finding that space, especially against the teams that sit back and sit deep. He seems to be able to find that space in the middle of the park. I would like to see him play centrally more often than not. I think against the European game midweek away, he was out wide, and I thought he was a bit less effective. I would prefer to see him centrally where he can pick up space. He's not afraid to take the ball under pressure, and he can turn and find his man, and he's obviously got a decent leap on him, which gives us another dimension to our attack, which I think we probably didn't expect when he came in, so that's a good bonus. And I think the other good thing with him is the fact that we've got that option to buy, and it seems to be from an exclusive option with potentially a pre-agreed price. It's not a case where we are developing another team's player. This is a case where if we can keep him, develop him, and then sell him on at a huge profit, then it's a win-win.
I think that's a great point. I think the opportunity to maybe bring him in and develop him as our own, then maybe keep him for another couple of years after that. Very similar to what we've sort of seen over the summer with Joe Aribo and the sort of, Bassey's trajectory was very quick. And I think if we've got the option to do something similar with him, it's something we should definitely do. We obviously went in 1-0 at half time. Could have been really different because, let's be honest, St Johnstone have an absolute great chance at nothing each. Jamie Murphy loops a ball in, and I think the Bears almost instantly go to Barisic to get into his ribs because he was in that sort of no man's land area. I felt realistically Ben Davies got caught underneath the ball a little bit, to be perfectly frank.
It was a weird one. It was a horrible ball. From our point of view, a great ball. Jimmy Murphy's it's a cracking ball from his point of view, because it's a real puzzler. It's went in there. It's a horrible height, really high, coming down really fast. That's no excuse for Davis. He should be dealing with that. But I think the fella, is it Bear? He's called actually the striker. He's jumping. He's a massive height. I think he's the same height as Tillman is when he jumps, for a goal against USG.
It's about 7 foot.
He's 2 feet, but he's absolutely massive. And I think he's jumped too early. And I think Davis has done that thing. He's watching the ball, not the man, and it's confused him. He's thought, there's no way that guy's getting to that. And he didn't get to it, but it was the fact we're slagging Borna Barisic, or I was anyway, a couple of weeks ago, for this habit he has of just letting play go, just almost getting himself out the way of danger. As opposed to, when he's supposed to be cutting the danger out. Well, I think yesterday he's actually been too close. He's been right behind. The way the ball's kind of ricocheted, it's come to him too quickly, and I don't think he can really do anything about it. The way it's come at him, it's a strange way it's come at him. He's expecting Davis to clear it, but it's not one of those ones where I think Barisic has been switched off. Maybe his position could be better. He could actually be getting out the way. But when I've been slagging him for, the past few weeks for being too far away from the danger, I can't really slag him for being too close to it. But I think Davis should have got it, and I actually thought Davis did all right. And I think I'm not actually joking about the head melting stuff in the heat. For me, I never even clocked that until I watched the highlights. I saw it happen at the time, but I was away thinking, Davis did all right. He looked quite comfortable. It's nice bedding in. And it's only when I watched the highlights again last night, I thought, oh Christ, I forgot all about that. A bit shaky, but I'm sure it'll be all right.
Do you know the thing that I thought, and I thought this when you referred to sort of Goldson marauding up the pitch and having 2 crosses for right wing, one which was really good, by the way, I have to say. I wonder if he does that, if he's got the confidence to do that, if James Sands or Big Shooter is beside him as the left-sided centre-half. I think it maybe suggests that Goldson has quite a bit of faith in this big fella and maybe sees him as maybe someone reliable to play alongside. And that's not a slant on Sands or Shooter by any matter of means, but I just think that maybe he sees this guy as a bit more reliable as opposed to the other two.
Well, I mean, Shooter is playing beside him at Livingston and having that. We know now why, and it's absolutely terrible, and it feels wrong. They felt Shooter did absolutely amazingly. Some character just to be playing that day to get a jersey on and go out there. But it was a thing I noticed that day. Conor Golston kind of hitting the byline, pulling it back across, and he was actually, kind of saying to Cholak, if you'd anticipated that, you could have scored there. And I think it was the same again yesterday. It was a cracking ball. And I don't know if Brian's talking about Tillman's thing of you want him central. I think he's also the way Joe Aribo would ghost, but I can't help doing it. Looking for Tillman to be a direct replacement for Joe Aribo.
Of course,
but the way Aribo would do that thing of lethally ghosting to the front post and heading it back across the goal. Yeah, Tillman and his last 2 goals, the Rangers' last 2 goals it was at that point. He's ghosting to the back post. And I think. Goldson's ball that he put across, if Tillman had maybe anticipated that, it's looking at that. I don't know if that's becoming, they're seeing that in training, that's becoming an option. If ever there's going to be an advert for the fact that Tillman can get a bit of height, it was the goal against USG, so and he's big Golson. He dinked a lovely wee ball first half through to Ryan Jack as well. I think Ryan Jack had a pop on goal. He's got a lovely touch. Big corner. We've known that he's great at stroking the ball about. It's not just like he's an out and out stopper. He's class going forward, and he really understands. They say this. You can see these players have all got they know the tempo required now. And the thing I said about the Livingston game, which was a bit tight at the time, we're a bit worried about how we played that. I think it applies even more so. We've been a goal down at Livingston. We've won 2-1. We've won by a goal. Then we've won 2-0 at home to sticky Kilmarnock, away from home. Then it becomes, know what he's going to do. Yeah. And then yesterday it's 4-0, and it's this thing under Gerrard. We'd see us starting games where we're going to blow this game away straight away, and it didn't happen straight away. We would start to get kind of bored. Yeah. Whereas I think it's going the other way, which is much more encouraging for me. They're hammering away at it, and then they're up in the tempo. You get a goal just after the half hour yesterday, a goal just after the hour, killer times. And then it's a couple in the last 10 minutes. But we're getting more and more into the game and taking teams apart as the game goes on. And we've done that over 2 legs, if you like. Really taking it against USG. So I like the fact that we're improving. You hope that's a kind of a symbol of what's going to happen with the season as a whole. We're going to get better and better as we did last season as the season goes on.
Yeah, Brian, I didn't think Matondo was I don't want to say he wasn't impressive. I think he could have been better than he was in the first half. Came out in the second half and he just looked like he'd had some sort of injection at half time. I thought he was really good in the second half.
Yeah, the thing that impresses me most about Matondo is that for a winger, he's got that ability where he won't just fire the ball across, he'll pick his man out.
Yeah.
So for Arfield's goal, when he rounded the keeper, a lot of wingers in that situation would try and score from the tight angle or just fire an aimless ball across the box, hoping somebody gets on the end of it, whereas Matondo had the composure to stop, pick his head up, see where Arfield was, pick him out, and it was an easy tap-in. Now, I think, that's kind of a bit unique for wingers. A lot of wingers would just kind of take the shot or, put an aimless ball across the box, but he seems to have quite good composure in those situations.
And of course, he was involved for the goal that Cholak scored to really give us a bit of breathing space. And I think if you dig deep down into the rule book, somewhere you'll find, Brian, that the goal should have been called off for offside. The thing that I think was particularly impressive was Cholak's ability just to spin and finish on the ball. I thought it was a really good finish.
Yeah, I think the two things about that goal that impressed me was Matondo's work rate to never give up, never give up on the press. Even although he might not have led to anything, he still kind of kept pressing, kept harrying. And then, Cholak's finish, it's just a one touch, bang, Chris Boyd-esque, and he knows where the goal is. And I think he'll score his goals. A lot of people are kind of going on the assumption that Alfie will come straight back in. I think Alfie's got a fight on his hands to get that shot back.
Yeah,
I really do. I think Cholak's a real good player. A lot of people are liking him to Chris Boyd. I think he's Boyd-esque in his finishing and that he's a 6-yard box striker. Yeah. But I think he's got more mobility than Boyd, and I think he's quite comfortable playing that lone striker role. I would have no concerns going away in Europe or going to Parkhead and having him as the lone striker.
3-3 for Cholak, which I think is an impressive start. We've had better Croatian strikers in the past than him. I think we're quite openly going to admit that. Perso and Jelavic. The one thing that I really like about Cholak, other than the fact that he has developed this ability to score with reasonable regularity, he leads the line really, really well. He leads it differently from Morelos, but I think he leads it really well.
What he's doing is he's keeping them in there.
Yeah.
He's keeping the defence occupied. They can't let him go, and it's his concentration. As Brian says, it's spot on. It's that Chris Boyd thing. Just one chance, one goal.
Yeah.
He's down to maybe two chances. He had just before he had the wee kind of overhead kick, attempt that went badly wrong just before he scored. But that's even better because it's that thing of it doesn't faze him. Right. He had to be laughed to himself. I made an arse of that, and he's straight back in there. And I don't know, it's far too early in the season. I'm sitting here going, Tillman's going to be the next. He's Joe Aribo, but without the 2 or 3 seasons to get going, he's just arrived. He is Joe Aribo straight away, straight replacement. And I've got Cholak could quite easily be up there with Jelavic, probably the sexiest striker I've ever seen.
Absolutely,
just phenomenal footballer, and Big Dado, who you would just run through brick walls for. He would run through brick walls for it. He would just love Big Dado. I think it's like the Bill Shankly, the Bill Shankly thing about every good team needs 3 Scotsmen. Anywhere than that, you're asking for trouble. But that back in the day when we had that kind of level of football, but I think having a Croat, even maybe a wee Serb here and there, having these guys in your team, they're a class act, the Croatians. As a football nation, they're just hard as nails, but classy with it. Just silky skills. Cholak owed us after what he did for Malmo last season, but he's paid that back already.
Yeah, absolutely.
He scored that. He's basically scoring. That must be some sort of thing. Scoring for the team you scored against in the same stadium in the same round.
It's a pub quiz question, isn't it?
I know. This 2 seasons in the trot, but I love the fact that he's taking his chance. And one thing with Chris Boyd, he couldn't do it. Walter didn't fancy him in Europe.
Yeah,
because he wouldn't come out. We didn't think Rangers could play that way in Europe at that time, so we couldn't have Chris Boyd starting Champions League matches, for example, because we needed the whole team to be coming back and working outside the box, and Chris Boyd couldn't do that to that level. Whereas Cholak, I think, is doing it the other way about. He's a kind of opposite to Alfie, if you like. Instead of running about, rumbling up guys and ragdolling centre halves and what have you, and he ended up getting his goal.
Yep.
Cholak is just in the position to score every time, which is keeping the defenders kind of psychologically ragdolled. If you like, they can't go anywhere else. You can't let him go. And when it comes to him, he's ready. And he's like, I always remember seeing Chris Woods doing the old man thing again. But when Chris Woods first came to Rangers, it was the first time I seen a goalkeeper. Rangers in that position where we were dominating play against everybody and having a goalkeeper who would only have one save to make and maintain the concentration to make that save whenever it was in the game. And I think Čolak is the same kind of striker. You know, he might get one chance, but he's going to be sharp, you know, in the 75th minute as he was in the first minute, and that's a different kind of quality for Purcell and Jelic. But it could make him a legend. So he could end up. You know, I'm talking about Lundstrom not having any as many assists as goals this season. I think Čolak's a guy. I think we've all been saying it the past 24 hours. He could end up with 30 goals a season, and he might go score more than one goal a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Aye. Yeah, there's a guy that sits in and around me, and he's often sort of critical of Morelos for a variety of different reasons. And the one thing he said, I actually heard him mutter about Čolak yesterday, was how he picks his moments, which I think sort of speaks to the point you're trying to make. Do you know what I mean? He's maybe not in the game relentlessly for 90 minutes, but if he gets the chance and he's going to score, who's bothering the arse? You know what I mean? The
only thing we did against USG in Belgium, in Leuven against Union St Gilles, was in that horrible first leg. Yeah. The only thing we did in any attacking sense was Čolak come out, went a bit wide and got a good ball across the front of the goal, which he should have been there to, the kind of ball he should have been there to score. And I think that's going to be a sign for us. If he's having to do that on a bad way, and that was a bad night, so he's going to be the fox in the box, I think.
Brian, Scott Arfield got a new contract for this season, and I think I think, brutal honesty, I think some eyebrows were raised when he was given the sort of additional year. He started the season really well. I mean, you could argue that he's not been maybe used as much as what he would like to perhaps have been used. But he scored 2 really important goals so far already this season. He's definitely worth hanging around.
Definitely. I think it shows the strength and quality we've got in the squad when you can bring on guys like Arfield, and he's coming on and he gets a goal and assist in that game, and that's a cameo effectively. And I think that just shows you the kind of level of quality and strength we've got in the squad, and that's kind of where you want to get to, is that you've got guys like Arfield where he's maybe not starting every week. He's at that stage in his career where he's, you know, coming to near the end of it, and he has the start. So his role now probably is off the bench as an impact. And he'll still give you that energy and those late busting runs into the box. And against tired teams, when we've kind of passed them to death for 70 minutes, bringing him on with the fresh energy and those late runs, you know, I do think he'll get goals, and I think he'll get assists, and I think he could be a pivotal player playing that role off the bench, especially in these games when we know teams are going to come to Ibrox and sit deep, and we might not always get that early goal. We might need to wait 60 minutes before we break the deadlock, and when you came, there's nobody else in the squad that will do what he does in terms of those late runs, and it's not something you can teach a midfielder. You've either got it and you've got that instinct to know when to break forward, or you've not got it, and he's got it. And I think he's well worth his extra year.
Eki scores on match day 1 at the Johnny Macaroni. Important goal. Scores yesterday. 2-0 is never a clever lead, and let's be honest, if St Johnstone were to score yesterday at 2-0, the Bears are going after nut. So for him to get that third goal, great work in Matondo. I think everyone largely expect him to square it across to Alfie for him to dink it in. I don't think they got to Morelos for what it's worth, because St Johnstone had a man in between. For Matondo to have the presence of mind to cut it back, and Arfield's finish was really good, I felt. He's definitely been someone who I think, as I say, eyebrows were raised when he got that additional year for the effect it potentially has on the growth of guys like McCann and Lowry. Cole McKinnon, who of course went out Partick Thistle, but the growth of these guys isn't going to be stunted, if you like, by Scott Arfield hanging around. I would maybe put that in another way. The fact that Arfield continues to do what he does can only be good learning for these guys.
I mean, it's a vital contribution to the team. That goal against Livingston the first day, that sets the tone for the whole season. Yeah. If we don't go out of that game with a win, that's us. Especially, I mean, that's a terrific response by Celtic today to what we did yesterday. We're thinking, a good chance we're still going to be top of the league. I think we could win 500. So we need to be getting the points on the board first and foremost. Yeah. So for Scotty Arfield to come on, and Brian saying it was the same that day at Livingston, he's just ghosted right across the front of the box to find the space, and he's nodding it right across the goal. He's watching the game, obviously, for the bench.
Yeah,
he knows what's happening. He's played this game. He's played so many games at such a high level of intensity, because he's coming off the bench now and he's ready to go. There's no way he's in the huff for him like that.
Absolutely.
He knows the score. He knows what age he is, but he's not giving you anything less than 100%. He's totally switched on. And Brian's spot on that yesterday. That was a lovely bit of play, and he's put that way with his right foot. Just picking his spot. You're right. I think for somebody like Matondo, who might be seen to be trying to please the crowd in a game like yesterday, it might be the easy thing to try and find Alfredo, especially when it's 2-0. You're getting in late in the game. He's maybe thinking, I'll go for the local hero, especially that big blonde hairdo. He sticks out, even though there was 3 or 4 of these red and white striped defenders between him and Matondo. But he waits and he looks, and as Brian's saying, he's picking his man out. It's absolutely brilliant. And then Scotty Arfield, he's slotting that away really calmly with his right foot, and then when he kind of then reciprocates, when he does the same for Lawrence, for the 4th goal, I think it's a left foot. He's in the same, he's an even busier box. He's picking it up and he's knocking it back. I think Arfield, same with Alan McGregor being back up, being kept as a backup goalkeeper. I really don't see what the problem is. There's a lot of folk getting their kind of knickers in a twist about this kind of stuff. We actually try to get into the Champions League here. And Tuesday night, we're trying to get into the Champions League when you will need every ounce of personnel you've got. So to help somebody like him kicking about to take care of things in the second half of league games is, and probably to still have a contribution in Europe as well, absolutely vital.
I'll stay with you because you referred to Tom Lawrence. I've been really impressed with him so far. I felt he was excellent on Tuesday. Against USG, I think he really made the difference. I felt I liked he sort of marauding runs when he's got the ball at his feet, can move with the ball at pace. Really excited by him so far. Considering he's coming from Derby, of course, he scored the 4th and final goal of the game. Lovely, nice finish, left-footed volley. He's going to be someone who I think we're going to see. If we were to progress into the Champions League, I think he's going to be one guy that you're going to see as a primary midfielder for those games and maybe rested until the next Champions League game comes up, because I think Gio rates him really highly. I
think that's certainly what happened yesterday, Scott. I think he's, obviously he's come on for a wee runabout at the end and contributes a goal. It's obviously he's been saved for Europe just now, in which he performed, as you say. It was that everybody was at 6s and 7s over in Belgium. That was, and I think Gio got it tactically wrong over there as well. And that's a conversation we'll have later on. I think that speaks to something else about Gio in Europe. But I think Lawrence is that thing, the same as Tillman is a line breaker. I think that's what the kids are calling these days. He's going to get in and behind. That's what we need. That's what we need more than anything else in the league half the time, and we're going to need it in Europe as well. And he just has that quality, as you say. His movement, his perpetual movement. He's keeping defences occupied. He doesn't look like he's going off. He doesn't go away and we kind of dwams and kind of lose concentration or lose interest at any point. He's on the go the whole time. He's one of the players. He's probably going to give you 75%. A kind of attacking midfielder Cholak, if you like. He's always going to be there to do what's required to do. By the looks of him so far, and by looking at what he did at Derby and what have you. But I am really, really pleased with him, and I think he always encourages me. I think you can tell the real footballers when they link up with James Tavernier. And that goal yesterday, first goal was James Tavernier, the ball to the back post for Tillman. Last goal was Captain Tav again, just taking the ball down, just knowing where to run, working the 1-2 with Lawrence, and then knocking it back for Scotty Arfield. Tav was all over that goal. He basically kind of made it happen. But Lawrence, I remember when I think. Fella Aaron Ramsey, that's it. I'm trying to forget his name, but poor Aaron. We do know the guys. We do know the guy's a quality footballer. But when he come on, was it Scottish Cup game at Dundee? We did 2 games against Dundee. Won the league, won the Scottish Cup up at Dens last season, following one upon the other. But when Ramsey was starting to get a bit of fitness and the way he was linking up with James Tavernier, I think just showed to me, it was like Ramsey was saying, I've played Serie A, I've played the Premier League down south, and this is a player. That's a guy I can get on with. And I think you saw the same yesterday with Lawrence, and it reflects as well on him as it does on Tav. That he's in that kind of rhythm. He understands this team, and it was a smashing goal. Although I thought he kind of under-celebrated it for his first goal, competitive goal for Rangers. I was a bit disappointed. He's probably feeling the heat the same as me. That's
Listen, this is, and obviously we're a Rangers podcast here, but there's something I want to ask you, and I'm curious to know what you think. Manchester United dying a death just now, slow death, I think. James Tavernier would start for them, would he not?
Aye, but that's aye. Oh, aye. I think, yeah, but that's. I think anybody could start for Manchester United. Just new Scott. You know, what I mean, I think, you know. By the way, if we're going to talk about other clubs, I think we should talk about Brentford. That was fantastic with them yesterday. They're getting. It's all about Manchester United, how bad things are for Man U, but I thought that was absolutely fantastic by Brentford and what they're doing yesterday. What they've been doing the last few years, absolutely. Magical moment for them, and it was a Christian Eriksen thing. I thought was quite, we brought you back, mate. We got you started again. If you got, this is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? They sorted him out, but I think Tav. Yeah, you're right, mate. Oh God, when Roger Byrne died in Munich air crash in 1958, Matt Busby put in a reputed £75,000 offer for Eric Caldo. Wow. Who was our captain at the time, and Eric Caldo knocked him back to stay at Rangers, even though he didn't really go on with Scott Simon. And Eric Caldo led us to our first European final, and missed a penalty in that final against Fiorentina. You know, he scored a few penalties in his life, though. Eric Caldo, amazing, absolute legend. And I think Tav, it wouldn't surprise me if the same thing happened all over again. Man U come in with an offer because they're desperate. You know, they're needing to do something. But I think Tav again would be knocking them back. Our last captain takes to our last European final, and I think he's just a class act. Yeah, he absolutely is. Here. Brian, I want to bring it across to other side of the pitch, left back. We've obviously brought in Ridvan Yilmaz, and he didn't get any game time yesterday at all. Maybe a wee bit surprising with the big game coming on Tuesday, and I think a lot of people think, you know what I mean, big outlay for young Turkish left back. Doubts maybe over the consistency of Borna. I felt that if there was a chance Yilmaz was going to play on Tuesday, you would have seen him for 30 minutes or so yesterday, but no deal, which would suggest to the Barisic starts Tuesday.
Yeah, I was surprised Yilmaz didn't start yesterday. I thought that would have been a prime opportunity to give him a start. I was surprised he went with Barisic. I thought Barisic had a decent game. I thought he had a pretty good game, actually. He obviously had that free kick as well, which was not too far away. So I think when Barisic is on one of those kind of runs of confidence where he's playing well, I think you just need to play into that and keep playing him. So for me, I would stick with Barisic on Tuesday. I think Yilmaz is the future. He's obviously on a long-term contract. He's just signed. We've spent a lot of money on him, so there's no doubt he will get his opportunity and he will take that shot at some point. But Will Borner's on a good vein of form, as he showed at the weekend. I would stick with him, but we've always got Yilmaz to come in if needed. Yeah, I wasn't overly surprised not to see him. I just felt that if there was an opportunity, or if we were going to need him on Tuesday night to start, yesterday would have been an ideal time to sort of throw him in, even at 3-0, go on, let him sprint his legs down that left side. That never happened, which would suggest to me that Gio has enough faith in Borna for Tuesday night. You think so? You think so? I'm confused with this one. I don't know what's happening here. You know, it did look like, as Brian saying, it looked like Borna was going out the door, and you know, he was definitely, the Turkish boy was definitely going to take over. And I don't know. It's too, as you say, it's too early to be resting him because he's not done anything. Absolutely, he's not had any game time. Borna, it is confusing. He's just, as you say, I think it annoys a lot of Rangers supporters that we can't write players off. You know what I mean? But you don't want that. You know what I mean? You don't. It's like, I want everything neat and tidy. He's definitely done. Get him out of the way. And as Brian's saying, Borna's coming back on. He's coming back into a bit of form. Yeah. You know, he's getting his confidence back. And I know we don't have, we keep talking about Joe Aribo, but at the back, we should maybe be worried about the back on Tuesday night, you know, because PSV are big scorers. And we don't have the big gap, obviously, is Calvin Bassey. We don't have him. He was a star, or a start on one of the many stars, but he really was a phenomenon in Europe for us last season. And I know he's playing centre back and what have you, but it's left a bigger responsibility on Borna. We don't have time for him to be
to have another week and a lack of confidence. Yesterday, you've got to remember, he didn't have Ryan Kent in front of him. He's going to help him to bed in Matondo, who you're right. At first 50 minutes, I was fearing for Matondo's Rangers future. This is going to a bad start, but then he nearly kind of put St Johnstone through in goal up in up at and then it was like a minute later where he hits the bar. And then he's setting up to
what an effort that was, by the way.
Absolutely brilliant. So he really got it with the swift of the neck. But I'm really confused about this. I don't know why Ridvan's didn't get a wee run out yesterday, and I thought this would be he would be starting on Tuesday. He might yet, but it looks like Borna's going to be the man.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, 4-0 at Ibrox is a good result. Well, something we're quite happy with. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of a big night at Ibrox on Tuesday, should say hello to our partners at Forrest Precision Engineering, huge supporters of the club for many years, and happy to have them with us for this season moving forward. You can visit the Forrest Precision Executive Lounge in the main stand if you're looking for further information on how you can get in there. Give the guys at Rangers Hospitality an email, hospitality@rangers.co.uk. It is a cracking suite, beautiful. And as I say, thanks to the guys at Forrest for joining us for the season. I want to go back to October 1999, Ek, and I'll start with you because you're slightly older than me. I was 19 then. And I'll read out the team that played that night. Stefan Clausen goals, a back four of Perini, Moore, Amoruso and Vidmar. Barry Ferguson, Van Bronckhorst and Derek McInnes. Rod Wallace, Michael Moles and Neil McCann. Pumped PSV, 4-1 at Ibrox. It was quite a night, wasn't it?
Aye, and they were lucky to get away with 4-1. We absolutely turned them inside out. It was because we'd lost. We lost away to Valencia in the first group game, and then I think it was with Bayern at home, and we were beating them right up until the last minute. And off the Peruvian guy's backside. And we were kind of up against it, and we went over to Eindhoven. And again, that was the second time we played PSV Eindhoven in European Cup / Champions League. And again, we went over there and we won. Yeah. Albert scores, and then he failed. I think he was on the bench.
He was.
Albert that night, Derek McInnes, believe it or not, took over.
I know.
So, we're slagging Derek McInnes for being... For the reasons we slag Derek McInnes, we should remember he was part of one of the greatest nights. So the thing I always remember, that night was I was up the back of the Copeland, and we were 2-0 up. And at this point, we'd never beaten we hadn't played many group games at that point, but we'd never beaten somebody in the Champions League proper by more than a single goal. Yeah, it was tension all the way, and we were pumping them off the park. Michael Moles, Neil McCann, they were absolutely phenomenal. And Gio cracking corner right onto Big Amoruso's head for the opener and what have you. And right in the stroke of half time, they get a penalty.
That's right. For nothing.
And I was up the back of the court. I'm telling you, I was sober as well, and I was in my early 50s at this point, and I'm just shouting. I absolutely lost the plot. I'm like, I can't. Kalina. It was the guy gets a World Cup final in 3 years time after that, but he's in on it. It's a conspiracy. You can't see these teams for the wee countries winning in the Champions League. PSV. Holland isn't exactly a massive country either, but it's a set-up. There's no way they're going to let us. And there's guys from the book, it's the back of the Copeland. I look at mate, settle down. This is
strap him down.
You're getting a bit slavery. This is getting a bit, But I was absolutely livid, and of course we went second half. We did the same again. Pumped them 4-1, and I got home and I watched thing on STV the highlights, and it should have been 2 penalties. I mean, Craig Moore just went right through Nistelrooy. It was just nothing. And that's why I always, anytime I see something in when I'm at the game, I always wait until I get home before I have a decision, because the blue blinkers are something terrible.
Yes.
But it wasn't much a conspiracy at the end of that. And that incidentally, that confirmed us over in the UEFA Cup that night, because it meant we'd beat them home and away. So we're going to get third place at least. But that was a phenomenal night.
Do you know something that rings in my mind from that night? And you'll correct me if I'm on the right sort of path or not with this. Derek McInnes marked Luke Nillis right out of the game that night, did he not? Is that fair?
Sounds right. Aye. Sounds right. Luke Nillis playing for them at that time. The only thing I remember at PSV that night was Van Nistelrooy getting fouled right in front of me, and me not seeing it was the foul, but then just slotting away the penalty, and me thinking, oh here we go, This is Van Nistelrooy goes on to have a great career in Man U,
absolutely,
in Real Madrid, but and of course he's the opposing manager on Tuesday night, But I think McInnes. Everybody did their job that night. I don't remember the specifics of that. I remember Neil McCann Rod Wallace and Michael Moles just tearing it up, absolutely tearing it up front. Yeah. And it was like, I think that's why really it was a transference of what I was really angry about, was the fact that we weren't 4-0 up at half time anyway, because we were tearing it to pieces, but we kept it going.
It was Neil McCanley's Plum as well back then, wasn't it? I mean, just different class. Really good. Brian, we know that on Tuesday night it's basically going to be a dress rehearsal for the real thing. So we're expecting the big black and white ball in the middle of the pitch, and we're going to have the old music on before the game. Taking into account everything that's went on the last sort of 10 years, from 2012 to now, 2022, I think it's quite a special moment that we find ourselves playing in a Champions League almost tie on Tuesday night. I wonder how you'll feel about sort of hearing that music blare out around you.
I think it's massive. I think it's going to be one of those hairs on the back of your neck stand-up moments.
Yeah.
When we hear that music, it's been a long time coming. It's something we all kind of said through the journey that, getting back to the Champions League will be a real point of knowing that we're back and we're back to where we belong. And although it's just a qualifier, but I do think we've got a realistic chance of getting through that tie and making it to the group stage proper. And one thing I'd like to kind of say is, I think how the club are handling these European nights has been superb in terms of their turning off the PA system and letting the stadium build the atmosphere. I think that worked perfectly on Tuesday night, and I think the tweet they put out about everybody wearing blue, that just makes you look forward to it even more, because you just know that Ibrox in a European night, everyone said it, but it's just different. It's just, I'd back us to beat anyone in a European night right now.
Brian's absolutely right. I think it'll be a special night, Ibrox, on Tuesday, don't you?
Never mind Tuesday night. Brian's got the hair in the back of my neck. Go on with that. Let's go. Let's have it. You know what I mean? It's different class of Champions League. It's been absolutely phenomenal. What we've done in Europe. It's almost like the game against Progress, Niederkorn, was just like it kind of summed up everything that's been happening. Yeah. It got an absolute disaster, and then we will just come back for it. Like, we'll bounce back for it in a way that nobody's expecting. It kind of summed up the past 10 years, to be honest. And we've got back to where we are through Europe. We've dragged ourselves up. We've done it back to the front. I go on about this all the time. You know what I mean? But to get to a European final before we even won our first League Cup since 2012 is quite mental, Yeah. And it's been a revisiting of all the places we were before 2012. This whole thing, even our first group game, or Stevie G goes into a miracle to get us to the group stages in his first season as manager. And our first game was against Villarreal, the club that we played in our only post-group stage knockout match in the biggest tournament in the world, Yeah. And we go a goal down after, 30 seconds or something like that. We think, we've taken it too far. No. Draw 2 weeks with them, draw 0-0 at Ibrox with 10 minutes, and then the following season we got the group, and it's just the fact that we're in a European final last year, I still really can't drink it in. I've got to, I take a year off to kind of deal with that. But I'm glad that Rangers haven't, because the last time we got to European final, something I didn't realise was so deeply ingrained in me until we did the business on Tuesday night, finally overcoming a 2-goal deficit for the first leg, first time in our history, was how much 2008, the Kaunas, we followed up our first final in 36 years by going out to Kaunas, straight out of Europe, in our next campaign. And I think I had a bit of that about me, and just without even realising it. And when we actually went through against USG, it was like, Christ, we're following up, as Brian said, to get into the Champions League straight after, being a European final. It's a kind of consolidation. Listen, I'll shut up after this, but Colin asked Stuart Weir a couple of weeks ago when I was on the pod. He actually said to Stuart, I think if we get into the Champions League, that's us, we're back. And Stuart said something I partly agreed with, was that I think getting to a European final kind of proved that Rangers are properly back. But I think also probably what Colin was, I don't want to speak for Colin, but what I was thinking was, I think, but financially, we're back spiritually, and back in terms of, winning on the park, but to augment it all financially, to make it concrete, to get into the Champions League group stages, would just, I think that would be everything to be kind of underwritten. It's just, we're just back to the same old, you know what I mean? And that's what we want to be,
I think you're absolutely right. There's something, and listen, I think it's easy to sort of romanticise it, but I think when that music starts on Tuesday, you'll sort of think about maybe things that have went on in the 10 years since. Do you know what I mean? You'll think about clowns like, dare I say, Charles Green. You'll think about playing Elgin 6 times a season, playing guys that are going to work at Ineos after they've come off at full time. It's going to be an incredible moment, I think, to sort of be in the stand. I think Brian makes a fantastic point. The club have got it spot on by flicking the tan off. We sort of 15-30 minutes to go before the season, and the cluster of Union Bears in the corner are doing a grand job of getting everyone right up for it. And there's no doubt that on Tuesday they'll play a huge part in trying to sort of bring the atmosphere up to boiling point. And there's no doubt in my mind that they'll certainly do that. It's something I think every Rangers supporter should be looking forward to immensely on Tuesday night. Ek, you'll be going, I assume. Do you care to, and I'm not going to ask for a prediction yet. However, how do you think Gio will play it? We've seen him sort of go to 3 at the back in the big European games. I think if he goes to 3 at the back, you lose the sturdiness, the mentalness, if you like, of John Lundstram in the middle of the park. I would much rather see Lundstram in the centre of the park on Tuesday night and just have a go at PSV, start with back 4 and see where we go on at Surf Patch. We've got that. I think that we've got that fluidity now, though. I think that the Rangers never had in the past. And the years I was kind of watching them, it was either we're totally up for it, or it's going to be a great night, and that was it, or we were on a downer and we couldn't get out of it. We started slowly. We couldn't really catch up with ourselves. Whereas now I think we have that kind of 2-3 pace thing, which all good European teams have. There's a whole different thing about the club. I was sitting there. Even though it was a kind of personal record for Rangers, if you like, overcoming a 2-goal first leg deficit, I was just sitting there the other night, I think only at 2-0, and just looking about the stadium. It's full. Everybody's kind of buzzing, but it's not too raucous. And the team are just going at it. And I thought, do we look like? We just look like one of the teams we used to play all the time in Europe. And we used to think, how can we not get to this stage? Yeah. It's usually a team we'd be bigger than in terms of support and stadium and what have you. I think we're just so comfortable, so patient, so confident with the concentration and with the patience without like allowing ourselves to sleep. It was just, we look like a team that's been to a European final, and we've added to that team. But we didn't look like that against USG. And to be honest, I honestly don't know how Gio's going to play, because I don't know what's going on in Gio's mind. I think there's been a real tension between the let's go for it 4-3-3, kind of Steven Gerrard, Michael Beale blueprint, and Gio's natural pragmatism, which the Dutch can do. They can have that pragmatic thing without stopping them attacking. They're born to attack. And I think, like a good, they say that like fiction writers, drama and television, that the conflict is where the drama comes in, and that's where and I think it's produced something magical that got us. We're already working miracles in Europe under Steven Gerrard. We then upped it a notch. But something that's going to happen with every Rangers manager, every single Rangers manager I've ever, has been in the job, has been accused of benefiting for the previous manager's signings the minute something goes wrong, And I don't know if this is happening in a good way with Gio last season. And I think he needs to get through this tie, because PSV are almost exactly the same as Dortmund. Yeah, it's exactly the same situation, except Dortmund didn't want to be in that tie we were playing them in last season, and PSV really want to be in the Champions League group stages. Historically, they're both clubs that won one European Cup. PSV are also in the exact same situation as us. They lost the league narrowly, the domestic league last season, to a hated rival. They got a kind of last word over them. They won the Super Cup in the summer there. The same as we pit Celtic got the Scottish Cup. They've started their season 100% record banging in the goals, but Ajax have scored exactly the same amount of goals in the league in alphabetical order. So it's a real matchup. But PSV score a lot of goals and they lose a lot of goals. And I'm really, really interested to see, is Gio, the kind of pragmatist 3 at the back, going to take over? Because he tried to make that Rangers team defend, to match up defensively against a defensive team in Belgium, and it didn't suit the Steven Gerrard energy that team still retains. So I'm really interested to see how it goes, and I just hope he keeps up his phenomenal record of European games at Ibrox. Brian, the big thing for me is I think if he decides to move Lundstram back one and go with a 3 at Ibrox, I hope he doesn't personally. I wonder if he starts Stephen Davis just to use his experience in that area of the pitch. If Lundstrom's dropping back, we've got someone in there, a cool head, record amount of international appearances, someone who knows what it's all about, knows the expectancy of the stands around them. I just wonder if there's an opportunity to throw Stephen Davis in there on Tuesday night.
I think the reason I think he won't throw Davis in is I think he'll feel like he needs more legs in the middle of the park than Davis can offer. I think from what I understand from PSV, they're very strong in midfield. They've got Veerman, who we were interested in. They've got a very strong midfield, so I think we would need more legs in the middle of the park than what Davis at his age can offer. So I think you might see Jack and possibly Kamara come in there. The one thing I did wonder about the back three is, I wonder if rather than dropping Lundstrom in, he might go with a three of Goldson, Sands and Davis. If that might be a ploy rather than dropping. That way you could keep Lundstrom in midfield and you retain what he gives us in the middle of the park, but you can still have that solidity of the back three, and you can have Tav and Borna as your wing backs. I wonder if that might be a route that he might go down.
Absolutely. I think the Sands conundrum, I think, is a big one. I think Gio really likes James Sands, you know that, I really do. I think he's a big fan of him. I think he sees a future in him. I think he may well start on Tuesday. I think Barisic will certainly start at left back. As I say, I think if there's an option to drop to a three, I think Davis may start. And Scott Wright gets a really hard time, but in a similar vein to Sands, I think Gio fancies him. I think he likes his work rate, his energy. I think he likes the way that he maybe offers some cover to James Tavernier should he get too advanced. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see all of these guys start on Tuesday night at Ibrox.
It's the right hand side in attack that's a big puzzle for me. I'm more worried about what we do at the back, because PSV, the guy Luke Nellis, for a start, he scored twice in the Luke de Jong, he scored twice in the Europa League final a couple of years ago. The guy's an absolute legend, and he's just come back there and added to what they've already got. Joey Veerman, who all the young dudes out there were wanting Rangers to pick him up, goal scoring midfielder, and the guy Cody Gakpo, he's banging them in for fun. Listen, they beat Ajax, was it 5? I know a certain Calvert Bassey getting sent off for Ajax didn't help, but they've beat Ajax in the Amsterdam Arena in that the Johan Cruyff Shield match by 5-3. It's banging goals for fun, but they lose. They don't keep clean sheets either. But they're a threat up front, real threat. But I think this Rangers team actually enjoys a game. We like somebody coming at us. It's such a refreshing change. That's why USG messed us up as well, because they were going to sit in. That's how they got second in the Belgian league last season, just by sitting in the break. So I hope PSV actually, in a strange way, come at us. And you're right, he likes Sands, and I think a lot of Rangers supporters don't. It's the same as the Borna Barisic thing. I think Sands, we're just always in the cusp of going, he's a player and he'll do some 1v thing. And I don't think it's necessarily been his fault all the time. As we saw in the second leg, it kind of stops us thinking, he's great, but then he does too much for us to think he's no good enough. I think a lot of it's kind of it's MLSist. It's folk just don't like he didn't come to the right league. But I think the American internationals, I think the USA international team is the most underrated national team in the world. And then with Tillman, he's kind of half German, half American as well. It's a great combination. They raise their players right. They really do give them a great work ethic. So I don't think you'll have a disaster with Sands. And it's like Wright. We forget that he played so well in the home leg of the semi-final against Leipzig. He won as the Scottish Cup. When he has a bad game, he feels as if he's done. But I think in Europe, Scott Wright was really coming onto a game, so it wouldn't surprise to see him playing. But does that mean you lose Lawrence? We're not comfortable with that either. I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm not going to make any daft predictions, because apart from anything else, our squad's so bloody massive.
It is a squad,
I keep forgetting about players. You know what I mean?
Aye. Listen, as I say, it's something I'm looking forward to. It's hard to sort of predict which way he's going to go. I think because of you demand quality in your squad, you demand sort of variety in each position, and then when you get it for the big games, your mind's pickled trying to pick a team that suits because he's got too many good options. And I think we have that now. I think we go into the game and we've got a lot of good options, and I'm not entirely sure that there is an easy team for him to pick. I do think we'll see Lawden start. I think there's a chance we'll maybe see. I would love him to start the same team that started against USG. However, it's very positive and advanced, and I wouldn't like to go to Eindhoven having to win.
No,
like that.
No. Although I think they've got a kind of ropey record at home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They can battle teams at home, but they've also, I think that they've lost a few as well. They can do better away from home sometimes than they do at home. But I think it's just this moment. I think it's, if, for example, we went with three centre halves on Tuesday night and it doesn't work out and we don't go through, I think you're going to start hearing all this kind of, it was the combination of Stevie G's team and,
absolutely,
make them do certain things that they want to that got us to that final. And it was a lot of bollocks. It's amazing management by Van Bronckhorst to get us to that final, providing me with some of the best memories of my life. A phenomenal run we had after Christmas there. But I would just love, for that sake, I would just love it. I don't care how we do it. I don't care how we line up. Because I really don't understand what's the best options just now. I just want us to go through, so we can finally say Giovanni Van Bronckhorst as the man. This is a trophy in itself. To get to the final was amazing, but to get to this, to get into the Champions League is better than any League Cup or Scottish Cup. It's a massive trophy, and I think that would give us a sense of confidence as well as the cash that would just take us on to great things, mate.
Agreed. But you're not going to give me a prediction, though, are you?
3-1 Rangers.
Oh yes, I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Right, Brian, your turn. What's the score going to be Tuesday, my friend?
I'm going to say 2-0 Rangers.
Yeah, that's what I think we'll 2-0. And as I said earlier on the pod, it's a horrible lead to take anywhere. I mean, if there's a horrible lead, that's it, 2-0, because you early goal elsewhere and sort of you're looking for clean draws, to be perfectly honest with you. Listen, Brian, I've enjoyed having you on. Congratulations, great debut. Good to have you in the team. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Ek, always good to see you, my friend. You're looking swell as always.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. And you can lie like the best of them, Scott. Thanks for that, mate.
So listen, before I let you guys disappear into your Sunday night, I should say hello and a thanks for joining us again to our third partner, Zenith Coins. Each coin that the guys are looking after just now, of course, they've got 5 in total: one for the founding fathers, one for the Ibrox Stadium, or one for the 1972 Cup Winners' Cup guys, one for the 9 in a row guys, and one for the 55th League Championship winners under Steven Gerrard. 5 really nice coins, all beautifully handcrafted and individually serial numberized, if that's the terminology. I'm not sure it is, but they're available via their website, allwzenithcoins.com. Jump on and have a look. Loads of people have got one, from the legends like McCoy, Derek Johnston, Big Marvin Andrews, to the world's strongest man, Tom Stoltman, and the world's greatest chef, Gordon Ramsay. If you are lucky enough to jump on and have a look at their website, I recommend you do. These coins are really, really nice to look at and a really nice memento, cracking gift to give to someone. I think Colin Armstrong is around at some point on Tuesday for something pre-match for PSV, which of course we all look forward to as Rangers fans. Make sure you join him. Until then, and until I'm back next Friday, thanks for watching and good night.